Hello, everybody. Welcome to Memorial Stadium. It's Rapid Reaction, Ohio State 51, Indiana 10 in the Big Ten opener. I am Austin Ward for Lettermen Row. This is Jeremy Birmingham. Rapid Reaction brought to you by Byers Auto for this Big Ten win on the road. Birm, that's about as complete as you can possibly get. They missed a field goal, I guess. They got burned on a trick play.
Yeah.
Ohio State just completely overpowered Indiana.
You know, it's one of those funny things because if you watch again, that first quarter is a little uninspired. It's 7-3 at the end of the first quarter, and you think, okay, what's happening? Justin Fields wasn't crisp, but they just dominated the line of scrimmage in a way that I haven't seen Ohio State on both sides of the ball dominate a game in quite some time from start to finish. The offensive line was absolutely brutalizing Indiana, and Chase Young and Devon Hamilton and the rest of the Ohio State defensive line was in the backfield instantly. I mean, Indiana had, I think, 1 yard a carry today. I mean, it's it's a pretty remarkable thing that's happened to this defense, and to watch it every single week is pretty awesome.
You talked about that first quarter and how slow it seemed like. I mean, I kind of described it as sleepy for Ohio State, but it really wasn't because they were finishing off plays. You said they were moving the line of scrimmage, and you could tell that sooner or later the dam was going to break for Indiana because J.K. Dobbins was running so hard. The offensive line was blocking so hard. Indiana had so many problems trying to corral Justin Fields. They were so scared of what he could do with his legs. Right. He only ran 4 times. Ohio State didn't need to. He only threw 24 times.
I can only think of one read option that was run today, and that was Justin Fields' first touchdown from 2 yards out. Yeah. There was not a single called run play for Justin Fields in this game. This was Ohio State walking into this building and saying, we are going to play man ball, and we are not going to allow you to feel good about what we're going to do to you. And it could have been a 70-10 type of game if they really went at it. I mean,
the 51 as it was.
So. The starters were out the entire fourth quarter. We saw Gunnar Hoke in there. We saw Chris Chuganoff before Gunnar Hoke again, which is continuing to be interesting to me. I mean, it makes you wonder. But for me, when you're talking about Ohio State, it's a complete game, and that's something that we saw last week against Cincinnati. We saw it pretty much against FAU, despite the fact that there was a lull in the second, third quarter. They didn't play bad. They just didn't, keep the foot on the gas when you go up 28-0 on 4 plays. And 3 games into the season, Ryan Day is 6-0 as a head coach, and he's been pretty consistent.
We talked about this last week, and Tim May wrote about it. He's not here. We miss you, Tim. It's weird without you on the road.
But I digress.
But we digress. J.K. Dobbins just returning here. This was the site of that freshman debut. All that stuff about the sloppiness, inconsistency in the opener. Then last week he throws that block, he scores. The way he ran today, he kept talking about all during training camp. Last year was a failure. And then he was still kind of upset. You got the sense from Florida Atlantic. And Tony Alford and Ryan Day were saying, hey, it's time. If you're going to be the best back in the country, it's time to prove it. He took a step last week. Today, I think, was a massive step.
Well, today, I mean, is one of those days where before the season we did our bold predictions, and I said J.K. Dobbins was going to run for 2,000 yards this year. And if they would have let him run the ball in the second half today, he probably could have finished in close to 300.
Don't hurt yourself patting yourself
and put
on the back. I'll do it for you.
And put himself right on pace to do that. So there's going to have to be another one of those big games coming. But what we see,
Miami, Ohio is on schedule next week.
You know, that's an opportunity. But I'm telling you, we talked about it last week. I truly believe that a part of what we've seen out of J.K. Dobbins in the last 2 weeks, that energy meter cranked up to 9 or 10, is entirely based on what Master Teague is doing behind him. Because Master Teague comes in the game, and there is not a single second when he is not running as hard as he possibly can. And that is a motivator, that is a game changer when it comes to everyone else in front of him and behind him on the depth chart.
It's a pretty fascinating dynamic because, I don't know. The Mike Weber thing seemed to bother everyone, and they never wanted to say it. But Weber, I thought, was maybe the more effective back, and Dobbins was getting the benefit of the doubt. He's elevated his game, but so has Master Teague.
Yeah.
You and I have talked about that guy a lot, and I told him, I wrote about him last year. I said, well, I can see him being that short yardage back. I was maybe a little bit even higher on him than you were, but I still thought that was about his role. He's faster. He's stronger. He runs with reckless abandon. He's not afraid of contact. That's changed things. There's more depth in the backfield for Ohio State than I thought.
I actually asked Master about it after the game here when we had the player interviews, which will be on Lettermen Row in about 35 minutes or so. I asked him about that, and what he said was that he had to teach himself to run harder, and which is crazy. I didn't know that's something you could teach yourself. But he said that in the last year he's had to change the way he approaches the game. And for a kid who's as nice as it gets off the field, and one of the more like, you know, proper and decent kids you're ever going to run across. I asked him, how hard is it to flip that switch to be a bad dude on the field? And he said, it's pretty easy. So he makes it look easy. And he's not only running over people, he's running away from them. And that's something I personally didn't think he could do at this level.
All right, this is Rapid Reaction brought to you by Byers Auto. That's the offense. I patted you on the back. I gave it to you for your J.K. Dobbins prediction.
Yeah.
Somebody predicted that Chase Young would break the single-season sack record.
Sure did.
I'm trying to remember who that was.
It was you.
Oh, okay. That dude is an absolute monster. That's not really a news flash, but you touched on this. Ohio State is still just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
We saw Tyreek Smith in street clothes in the second half. We'll try and find out more. Ohio State doesn't like to talk about injuries. We'll try to get to the bottom of that. See.
It looked like a pec issue from what I could see on the field. I mean, that's what he was holding. I don't know if it's serious. It could have been just precautionary, but obviously with Jonathan Cooper out still.
You've got to monitor that, especially because, as we talked about, Jonathan Cooper, he wants to play. He traveled. He was not going to get cleared to play. They ruled him out on Friday. But so you're still without Jonathan Cooper. Tyreek Smith, if he's not fully healthy. Teron Vincent has missed all 3 games. And yet you have Devon Hamilton making plays, Chase Young being an absolute terror, Jashawn Cornell. I mean, it's
Tyler Friday got a sack today. Zach Harrison got a sack today.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, we talked about it last week again, and I don't mean to keep going back to previous conversations, but last week, end of the third quarter, Cincinnati going in for a score. Ryan Day put the starters back in, and they made a play and stopped it.
Yeah.
Today, the starters weren't pulled, but being up 51-10. And for Damon Arnett to read, and that was a nice little, it was a, play action, rollout, toss back to the tight end. And Damon Arnett was on it from the minute that the quarterback started to roll to his right. And he watched that ball in the air over in this end zone and caught it, and then 90 yards the other way. And I know people were hard on Damon Arnett last year.
Oh, were they? It
is incredibly satisfying to watch a guy who put up with a lot of negativity and who made a difficult decision to come back to college and come back for his senior year, and to see him being what he's always been thought he could be.
I want to know where the Damon Arnett haters went today, because I didn't see them filling up my mentions on Twitter the way that they always do, or getting
weird,
asking me why I said it was a good thing for Damon Arnett to come back. He is one of the most talented, physically gifted guys that you're going to see. The problem last year was
Kendall Sheffield's in the NFL.
The problem last year was not Damon Arnett. I don't care if you want to say that it was bad positional coaching from Taver Johnson. I think that there's a case to be made for that. Bad scheme, inability to adjust the scheme,
lack of motivation,
lack of communication, and sure, some of it you can put on him. He said that he's had to change his approach, but if you give him all the other tools, he's going to be very good. And he had, I don't know if it was 3. There were at least 2 breakups, and then the interception, 96 yards, the 5th longest interception return in school history. He's also still got a cast on his hand, by the way. Damon Arnett is very, very important to this Ohio State turnaround.
It's been discussed ad nauseum, but the swagger of the Silver Bullets is absolutely back. And
he was pretty swaggy on the way into the end zone.
He was, and he was swaggy coming off the field. The guys on the sideline were going, Damon, come on. And he stopped and had to pose for the TV cameras, and they were not thrilled with that. But you know what? The kid has worked his butt off to get in that position. And next weekend against Miami of Ohio is certainly not going to be the next litmus test for Ohio State, and that comes in 2 weeks when you play against a pretty good offense in Nebraska. But it's been a complete 180-degree turnaround from what the Ohio State defense was a year ago, and that's what was promised, and that's what's been delivered. All
right, 51-10, that was a guarantee. Since you got that one score, I haven't been able to nail it just right, but I had 49-10 as the official Lettermen Row prediction. So I'm going to count that as another victory for me over you.
Yeah, I mean, you could. Yeah, I didn't get to give a prediction this week.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So,
well, next week, or you can just do it right now.
Guess what? I predicted a 51-10 final.
No, all right.
Yeah, so
I'm going to edit this out. This has been the Rapid Reaction. It's brought to you by Byers Auto, our great friends there. We're going to hit the road, head back to Columbus, get ready for Week 4. He's Berm. I'm Austin Ward. We will see you right back at Lettermen Row HQ on Monday to get ready for the next one.